we shall start our discussion on hydraulic machines, and the topic which I shall discuss today is the testing of a radial flow pump. Now, we have discussed about the system design, also the pump design. We have also defined several efficiencies of pump, to be precise of radial flow pump, and then we have seen that two important parameters which are very important. In fact, we have discussed about those. The sole purpose of having a pumping station either for domestic use or for different uses in various industries is to supply liquid having certain amount or desired head. So, basically if we discuss today that the radial flow pump, in fact the pumping station or pumping system in which we can, rather we need to install one pump, or depending upon the requirement we may have to go for installation of more than one pumps, more than one pump. So, basically you can understand I have introduced one important term, that is requirement. So, what is the requirement of the pumping system? Whether the system is equipped with one pump or system is having more than one pump. Sole purpose is to meet the requirement, and that is needed by the end user. So, basically requirement, if we can recall, though I have not discussed much about this, but the requirement is number 1 head, that is H, and number 2 is the flow rate or Q. Sometimes it is known as discharge or volumetric flow rate. So, you can understand these two quantities, head and discharge, and that is why if you try to recall, we have discussed about H cube characteristic curve in one of the previous classes. So, now what we have understood from today's discussion is that we should design pumping system or pumping station. In that pumping station, depending on the requirement, either one pump or more than one pump will be there, but requirement is head and the flow rate. Now, question is, if we go to market and if you would like to purchase a particular pump, say I would like to purchase a radial flow pump, we have understood by this time that the radial flow pumps are used in places wherein moderate to high head and moderate discharge is required. If the requirement of Q is more against a low head, then definitely we should go for axial flow pump. Now, if we go to purchase a pump from the market, so we need to specify these two quantities, right. Question is, the pump's manufacturer, pump supplier will be in a position to provide us a chart from where we will have a look at it, that if I install that particular pump in a pumping station, system designer will be in a position to understand that by installing this pump we will be able to meet the demand, meet the requirement or not. So, what I have said now, that if we go to market for procuring a particular pump, say radial flow pump, we need to specify two quantities, that is head and flow rate. Another one important quantity is there that I will be discussing later in this course, that is specific speed, but these two quantities we need to mention. Now, knowing the head and flow rate that will be developed or supplied by the pump supplier will be in a position to select which pump should be able to meet the demand. Now, the pump supplier is not the pump designer. Now, pump supplier will be, say, any particular manufacturing industry. So, that particular manufacturing industry will again consult with the pump designer, and then pump designer will be able to provide this HQ characteristic curve, and looking at that characteristic curve, the end user or the system designer will select the pump. So, the pump designer should provide this HQ characteristic curve, that is very important. Looking at that HQ characteristic curve, supplier or system designer will check that for the system in which this pump should be installed, whether experiencing that system resistance, pump will be able to supply this amount of flow rate against the head H or not, right, and in that way pump is selected. So, we have understood that the pump designer, no matter whether it is demanded by the pump supplier or not, should supply this HQ characteristic curve. By how? So, to obtain HQ characteristic curve, a pump designer is designing a pump. So, we have seen that blade angle, flow angle, so many things, diameter at the inlet, diameter at the outlet, impeller width, so many things are there. Pump designer will consider those, and the pump designer will be able to supply, pump designer will be able to design the pump. After the pump is manufactured, pump should be tested to check whether the pump is able to, or pump is capable of providing the desired quantity, those which are considered during the pump design or not. So, that is why it is very important that once the pump is manufactured based on the input from the pump designer, then pump should be tested, and from the testing procedure H and cube should be calculated, and based on that H cube, an H cube curve should be prepared, and that H cube curve should be supplied along with the pump to the pump supplier, so that whenever pump supplier is purchasing or selling a particular type of pump, he or she should be in a position to provide this HQ characteristic curve to the system designer or the end user. Okay. So, we have understood that testing of the centrifugal pump is essential part immediately after the pump manufacturing. So, after the pump is manufactured, the pump should be tested to check whether the pump is capable of producing the design head against a design discharge or not. So, and that not only that, also the pump should be tested for a wide range of discharge to see what is the head being developed by the pump, and from those data this H cube curve will be prepared. Not only H cube, we will see soon that along with this curve there will be different other characteristics like efficiency versus Q and also the power versus Q. So, those information should be available with the pump supplier. So, whenever it is demanded by the end user, demanded by the system designer, supplier will be able to provide these. So, now we will discuss about the pump testing. So, we have understood testing of radial flow pump. So, you can understand the objective is to provide H cube curve not only that efficiency versus cube and power versus cube. So, all these curves characteristics curve should be prepared from the testing data. So, now we shall quickly move to the next slide. So, now we will be discussing about procedure of pump testing. Again I am telling we shall focus on the radial flow pump. So, let us quickly draw the design. In fact, I have drawn this circuit again in the previous in one of the previous class. So, let me draw the schematic depiction. So, we have one sump and this is the water level. So, this is open to atmosphere and there will be one strainer and this pump so this is the radial flow pump and this pump will have one, this is having one non-detal valve. So, I will be discussing about. So, this is valve and then it will supply liquid to this reservoir. Okay. So, this is the reservoir. Okay. So, we should have one pressure gauge over here, that is at the suction side, another pressure gauge at the delivery side. So, this point we are giving name D, this point we are giving name S, that is suction side, this point we are giving name, that is 1 and this is point 2. Okay. Now, say this is the height on the delivery side, that is H d, and this is the height on the pump suction side, H s. So, and this is valve, typically this is non-return valve, NRV. So, I am writing NRV, that is non-return valve. I will be now discussing briefly describe about this circuit. So, what you can see, this is the radial flow pump which should be tested. So, this is radial flow pump which should be tested now. Why? To generate data, to generate curves. What are those curves? We have discussed h cube, n cube and p cube. So, this is 2, this is 3, right. So, this is 3 is power versus cube, 2 is efficiency versus cube, and you can understand one, that is head versus cube. I am not going to write, that is very common, we have studied by this time. Okay. So, basically here you can see that this suction line, that this is strainer. So, this is strainer which is used to separate the impurities which are there in the suction tank. So, this is suction tank. Very quickly I have to complete, and this is delivery tank. Okay, so, very quickly I have to complete. So, what you can see is that pump is used to, and one priming knob will be there. So, I will be writing here that one priming knob. So, this is called priming priming valve. Okay. So, basically you can see pump is drawing water from the suction tank, and this pump is driven during the testing operation. You have studied, I guess, during your undergraduate days, that radial flow pump testing. So, the pump should be run either by using an electric motor or diesel engine, but our objective should be to calculate the input power to the pump, right, and also the RPM at which the pump is driven. And then here in this part, energy is getting converted, that mechanical or electrical energy is getting converted. Electrical energy will be converted to mechanical. If this pump is driven by electrical energy, electrical motor, electrical energy will be converted to the mechanical energy to rotate the impeller of the pump, and that mechanical energy will be converted to increase the stored energy of the fluid. Now, that and pressure will be built up, and eventually liquid will be transported at the delivery tank, right. So, that is what we have seen. In fact, you can understand that the total head that pump should be able to develop, definitely that will be able to overcome the static height Hd. On the top of that, we also need certain amount of velocity at this discharging point. So, that is nothing but the kinetic head. That is what we have discussed in the last class when we have talked about pump reaction. Okay. So, this is Hs. So, not only this static height Hd, this is also Hs. So, total static height that will be able to overcome. So, the total head that will be developed by the pump will be able to overcome the static height. Suction pressure gauge and delivery pressure gauge to only to measure the suction pressure and delivery pressure. Now, again though I have discussed this about this circuit in the previous class, but still I am telling you the suction pressure is measured because this side is negative pressure. So, suction pressure should not fall below the vapor pressure at the prevailing temperature, otherwise we have discussed in detail about the cavitation which will occur. Okay. Now, what is done? Let me tell you the step. First, what is done? So, I am writing the steps. I am writing steps. Number 1, delivery valve is closed. Delivery valve is remaining fully closed. So, this is step number 1. If you would like to test the pump, first objective should be to keep the non-Newton valve closed, and that is one way valve. So, anyway it will remain closed. The non-Newton valve is one way valve. So, it will definitely. So, our objective should be the delivery valve to remain closed. Okay. Delivery valve is remaining fully closed. Number 2, is priming. So, priming is done. Say why? So, before we start running the pump, delivery valve is remaining closed. What we will do? By opening this priming valve, we will allow liquid to go through the suction line. If any air is present in the suction line, that air should be driven out. So, the liquid which is given through this priming valve will fill up the suction line, and in the course of that process, if any air is present in the suction line, should be allowed to expel out from the suction line. So, why? Because you can see this is open to atmosphere. Now, if any pressure, any air bubble or air block is air small amount of air is there in the suction line, then it is very difficult to create a pressure difference. So, there should not be any flow of fluid from point 1 to the inlet to the pump, right. So, that is why what is done, I will be discussing soon. In fact, we have discussed that because of the certain head, that is negative head, so if we run pump, liquid will definitely move from point 1 to the point S or inlet to the pump by virtue of pressure difference, driving force. If any air is present inside the suction line, this is again atmospheric pressure, the pressure difference will be 0. So, there will be no flow of fluid. So, to ascertain that there is no air bubble or air present in the suction line, some amount of air or liquid is allowed to move through the priming is done, and that liquid will fill up the suction line. So, that is basically known as priming. So, that should be done. Then number 3, pump is allowed to run, rotate. So, as I said that this pump is connected, so the pump is connected either to an electric motor or to a diesel engine. So, by switching on the electric motor or by starting the diesel engine, pump will run, right. And if pump is run, delivery valve is remaining closed by the already you have done the priming operation. What will happen? Now, the liquid will go from point 1 to point S, and we will be able to get some amount of liquid through the delivery valve. Number 4, delivery valve is opened gradually, is allowed to open gradually. Delivery valve is allowed to open gradually. Okay. So, what we need to do? See, we are having these two pressure gauges, one is at the suction line, other is at the delivery line. So, we can definitely measure the pressure difference across the across the pump, and that is nothing but the head that will be developed by the pump. So, we shall do this exercise, but also we need to measure the discharge. So, delivery valve is allowed to open gradually. What we will do at the point 2, what we will do, we will connect. We have studied either in the undergraduate course, that is V notch. So, if we allow liquid which is getting discharged from tube to pass through the V notch wire, from there by measuring the height we can, and by looking at the calibration chart, we can calculate what will be the discharge, and that discharge should be measured. So, pump should be allowed to run at different RPM, and we will try to measure the head, that is being developed. We also will measure the, in fact, if we allow pump to run at a constant speed, that is rated speed, then also by gradually opening the delivery valve, we will measure continuously the discharge by allowing the discharge liquid through the V notch wire, and also we can measure the pressure difference across the pump. So, we can develop the HQ curve, right. We have studied different efficiencies, overall efficiency, mechanical efficiency and hydraulic efficiency. So, we know that what is the head being developed by the pump and what is the discharge being supplied by the pump. So, rho q g into h, that is nothing but the output power, I mean, so we can calculate, and we also know the input power to the pump, because we know if it is driven by electric motor or diesel engine, we can calculate the input power. So, we also can calculate power versus Q curve, right, and finally efficiency versus Q curve. So, we have studied all those things. So, objective is to provide all these 3 curves H cube, N cube and P cube. You can understand H cube, that is I have already explained that if we allow the pump to run at a constant speed, by slowly opening the delivery valve we can measure the discharge, and if we allow the discharge liquid to pass through the V-notch wire. So, let me talk about now the V-notch wire, you know. So, you have studied this is the V-notch, right. Say this is the angle theta, right, and if I take different color, say this is the height, right. So, if this is the height small h, then we can calculate Q is equal to C D, right, 8 by 15 tan theta by 2 root 2 g h power 5 by 2. So, this is the formula we have studied from the V-notch wire, we can calculate. So, this is theta, that is a theta, and if we measured h, and from this h you can calculate. So, basically if we calculate and if we measure the height, from the height we can calculate Q. In fact, we do not require even to always allow the liquid to pass through Q. In fact, we can what we can do, we can prepare, we can chart, that is H and H versus cube, and we can prepare like this. So, we know that if we allow this much amount of liquid, height will be this, if we allow this. So, basically from that we can prepare a chart. So, anyway objective is that if we now allow this discharge liquid to pass through this V-notch wire, and if the height of the liquid of the through the V-notch is h. So, this, and if we know this angle theta, because that theta is given by using this formula, this is C D, and we can that is the coefficient of discharge, we can calculate what will be the flow rate. So, we can calculate now. So, that means we can open the valve gradually, we can measure the flow rate from the V-notch wire, we also can measure the pressure difference across the pump, and we can obtain H total head being developed by the pump. So, that way we can calculate, that we can generate H cube curve, right. So, this curve is known. Second is efficiency versus Q. So, basically you know that if it is overall efficiency, we can understand that we know the input power is remaining same, right. So, if we allow now, if we the input power is remaining same, so that is driven by electric motor or diesel engine. In fact, we can also calculate what is the input power to the pump, and we also can calculate what is the output power, right, because in terms of the Q and H that is being developed by the pump and supplied by the pump. So, knowing the value of Q and H, we can calculate output power, we know the input power, so we can calculate overall efficiency. So, for a given Q, we always can calculate efficiency, and we can generate this curve, that is N versus Q. And finally, power versus Q, you know that if we would like to get that this is the amount of Q we are getting, and for that what is the power input. So, from there, so basically you can understand, by doing this test we can generate these 3 different curves, and which are very important to the system designer, to the end user. By looking at those curves and knowing the system resistance, he can select, and also he can identify the point of operating point. Okay. So, this is we have discussed. Now, as I told you, and also it is not always required. So, basically this is the way of calculating flow rate. So, calculation of flow rate. So, this is number 1, that is by using V-notch, that is wire. Now, so this is to measure flow rate. So, this is V-notch wire. Number 2 is that pitot tube. So, if we try to understand, let me discuss about. So, if this is a pipe, we know, right, and this is the central line, this is R, and what we can do, if we can take so we can take small strip this is dr. So, at a small r distance and this distance is smaller. At a smaller distance, if we consider a strip, then you can calculate. So, basically pitot tube which is used to measure velocity. So, pitot tube which is used to measure velocity measures, and what we can do, we can calculate at different radial location, we can calculate velocity. So, at different radial location we can calculate velocity. So, basically by how, see d cube will be equal to u at that particular location we can measure the velocity. So, u into 2 pi r into dr. So, q will be equal to nothing but d cube. So, what we can write 0 to r u 2 pi r dr. So, in that way we can calculate q. So, what we can do, we can take the pitot tube at different radial location, we can calculate q, right. And so, this is the way of calculating flow rate, right. So, you can understand that we can measure velocity, we can measure the flow rate which will be supplied by the pump. I mean, whenever pump is discharging any amount of liquid, that liquid should be measured, the amount of that liquid will be measured either by using V notch or using pitot tube, fine. Now, next is how can we measure head. So, that is what I discussed in the last class, but very quickly I will complete this. So, you can understand that if we now apply steady flow energy equation between point 1 and between S. So, if we apply, so calculation of head H, right. So, what we can do, we can calculate also head that will be developed by the pump, right. So, what we can do, I can apply the steady flow energy equation between points 1 and S. What we can write? We can write, and if we consider this is the datum point, right. So, we can write P 1 by rho g plus V 1 square by 2 g plus this is 0, that is datum. So, 0 equal to P s by rho g V s square by 2 g plus H s plus also we are having frictional loss. So, that is the frictional loss, right. So, this is the frictional loss. So, that means this is obtained if we apply steady flow energy equation between points 1 and S, and if we take datum that, then you can understand this is will be equal to 0. So, P 1 equal to P atm. So, this is open to atmosphere, and also V 1 is much less than V s. So, see, and again this is what we have used, what we have discussed, that the cross sectional area of the suction tank is much larger than the cross sectional area of the suction pipe. So, the cross sectional area of the suction pipe is very small. So, we can trivially ignore the flow velocity. So, basically change in height in the suction tank will be very small, and also this point 1 is open, this is open to atmosphere. So, that is the atmospheric pressure. So, we can write, so this is from this equation what we can write, that P s by gamma, that is rho g, that is nothing but minus V s square by 2 g plus H s plus H f s, right. So, you can understand the suction pressure, that is the negative pressure, that is vacuum pressure. So, we have discussed. So, this is negative pressure, right. So, this is negative pressure. Okay. So, very quickly I will discuss, and if we apply now the steady flow energy equation between these 2 points, that is between point D and 2. Okay. So, if we apply the steady flow energy equation between points d and 2. What we can write? We can write P d by rho g, that is gamma, plus V d square by 2 g plus 0. So, we are taking this is the datum. So, let me erase it. So, this is 0, that is nothing but P 2 by gamma plus V 2 square by 2 g plus H d plus H f d. So, frictional loss in suction line, and this is the frictional loss in delivery line, right. So, you can understand that in this particular case, again if we go back to the schematic. So, V d d, the point d and point 2 on the same line. So, diameters is same. So, basically V d will be equal to V 2, right. So, that is what we can write, V d will be equal to V 2. So, what we can write is that V d will be equal to V 2, that is on the same pipe, same line, right, and again P 2 you can understand this is discharge, the open to atmosphere. So, P 2 will be equal to 0. So, P 2 will be equal to 0 for this particular case. So, this is the gauge pressure, and we can write that P d by gamma will be equal to what? Will be equal to V 2 square by 2 g plus H d plus H f d. Okay. So, this is H f d plus H f d minus V d square by 2 g. Okay. As I said that V 2 equal to V d, then that will be H d plus H f d. So, that is nothing but H d plus H f d. So, what we have obtained? So, this is the pressure reading we will be getting from the delivery pressure gauge. This is the reading that we will be getting from the suction pressure gauge. This is negative. So, you can understand that when the pump is allowed to rotate, then there will be a negative pressure created at the inlet to the pump, and because of this negative pressure, here it is atmospheric pressure, that is the driving force. So, that driving force will allow liquid to move, liquid to rush from point 1 to point S, right, and this pressure is the positive pressure. So, this you can understand that this is the reading that will be getting from the delivery pressure gauge is always positive. So, basically as I said, if it is driven by an electric motor, that electrical energy will be converted to mechanical energy as the shaft of the electrical motor will be connected to the shaft of the pump. So, the impeller will be rotating, and that mechanical energy will be eventually converted to increase the stored energy of the fluid, that is it will increase the head, right, and velocity. So, from this particular equation we can see this is nothing but the head that is being developed by the pump. So, that is the static pressure reading that we are getting from the delivery gauge, and as I discussed in the previous class that when we talk about reaction of a pump, so there are two components, two pressure components, static pressure as well as the dynamic pressure. So, not only you are getting the static pressure, also you will be getting the delivery head, right. So, now though V d and V 2, so in this equation this V d and V 2 are getting cancelled because those 2 points are on the same line, but still we are having finite amount of V d and V 2, right. So, that dynamic head also will be taken into account we are calculating while we are calculating the total head. So, now what will be the total head or the head developed by the pump? So, basically we can write pressure rise. So, this is the static pressure rise, that is nothing but pressure rise across the pump. Static pressure rise, that is P d by gamma minus P s by gamma. So, that is nothing but H d plus H f d plus V square by 2 g plus H s plus H s f, right. And also you can calculate the total head will be developed by the pump is equal to P d by gamma plus V d square by 2 g minus P s by gamma plus V s square by 2. So, this is the total head developed by the pump, right. So, if that is the case, so you can understand what we will be writing. So, we will be writing that is nothing but H d plus H f d plus V d square by 2 g, right, minus, so that is minus P s by gamma. So, what we will be getting, that is nothing but, so we will be getting plus H s plus H f s plus V s square by 2 g, right. So, that we are getting. Now, we are having also, so that is minus V s square by 2 g. So, we can write this. So, you can write that this equation, we can write that, I can simply write in a different form, that H d plus H f d, again I am writing this is nothing but V d square minus V s square by 2 g plus H s plus H s f plus V s square by 2 g, right. So, this is the delivery gauge reading that you can see, this is the suction gauge reading that you have seen, and this is the change in kinetic energy. So, again I have rearranged this expression in this form only to make you understand that the total head being developed by the pump is not only the static pressure rise, also is the change in kinetic head, which is very important to understand at this point of time. Okay. So, the total head being developed by the pump is not only the static height that is given by this pressure rise across the pump, but also this fellow is there, that is nothing but the change in kinetic energy. So, what I said that the mechanical energy is converted to increase the stored energy of the fluid. So, when you are talking about stored energy of the fluid, that is nothing but the both, rather combination of two, pressure as well as the velocity. So, static as well as the kinetic head. So, that is what we have obtained. So, what we can see from the suction pipe diameter, knowing the suction pipe diameter, knowing the delivery pipe diameter, from the suction and delivery gauge reading, right. So, you can understand this is basically delivery gauge reading. So, number 1, this is basically change in kinetic energy, I am writing number 2, and this is number 3. So, what is 1? 1 is delivery gauge reading. Number 2 is change in kinetic energy, and number 3 is suction gauge reading. Okay. So, this is what is important. So, we do not require anything to do, only from the suction gauge reading and delivery gauge reading, and by knowing the velocity at the discharge point and suction point, what we can calculate. If we know the flow rate at the suction line, we know the area, from there we can calculate velocity at the suction line. Similarly, we can measure velocity at the delivery gauge by using the pitot tube or simply from the flow rate. what we can do? We can easily calculate the total head that will be developed by the pump. So, what we can do? Essentially, you can understand from this pumping testing circuit, we can measure the total head being developed by this pump. We also can measure the flow rate that is supplied by this pump through by using the V notch or this pitot tube. So, from those data we can generate H cube curve, and the other two curves already I have discussed. Now, question is, this is what we obtain at a given speed, right. Now, when the delivery valve is remaining closed, right, when the valve is closed, that the speed will be different than the rated speed. So, basically if we allow the pump to rotate at say 1450 rpm, but when the valve is closed, that speed will be different, but I need to calculate this flow hydraulic parameters at the state rated speed. So, what we can do, we can apply affinity law, that because pump affinity law I will be discussing that part in a separate class, but for the time being I am mentioning that when I am allowing the pump to run using the prime mover, whether it is electric motor or diesel engine, it is having certain rpm, but if we when the delivery valve is fully closed and we are gradually opening the delivery valve, the speed will be different, but we need to convert what will be the head, what will be the discharge at the rated speed, and to do that we need to apply the affinity law, and that part I will be discussing in the next class. So, to summarize today's class, we have discussed about the pumping testing procedure, we have discussed about the need of the priming, and the non-Newton valve that I have given, in fact this is basically that will remain fully closed. I am telling you from the practical point of view, because this is non-Newton valve. Now, in any case, so say this is the water column, I mean if it is the static height, this is the water column. Now, this non-Newton valve is one way valve. In any case, if pump trips because of the because of any reason. So, what will happen if this is not the non-Newton valve, since this is non-Newton valve, it will allow liquid to move only in this direction. So, if the pump stops suddenly, this liquid column will come and eventually it will strike the pump impeller, and it may damage the bearing, the performance of the bearing. So, what is done? It is this non-Newton valve is provided. So, in any case pump stops, the liquid column which is there in the static height, that will definitely try to return, but they won't be able to return and won't be able to go into the pump because of this non-Newton valve. So, this is one way valve. This valve will not allow the backflow from this pipeline to the pump, and the bearing and other that will strike the impeller, and it may create operational issues for the bearing. So, that part can be avoided. So, with this I stop here today, and we shall continue our discussion in the next class. Thank you.